Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome friends once again to the MOOC module on handling large scale unit level data with STATA. This is our week number 1 where we have been discussing on unit level data. We are trying to be familiarized with the existing unit level data which are largely used in Indian context. So, this module, this particular lecture is actually targeted to understand India's Human Development Survey. In the previous lecture, I think I have already explained the use of or the constitution of NSS, where the type of data they provide, type of questions, type of layout, type of character spacing, type of some of the variables, the timeline we discuss in NSS. Similarly, we also unfold the newness in the data and the quality of the data in IHDS, how this is completely or to a large extent different than that of the existing data sets. So, therefore, it is going to be very interesting for you, and this is I am using I have been using over last couple of years for my research and also for my PhD students, and they are happy in using this IHDS data set, especially those who are interested in understanding quality of human life or quality of life, especially understanding poverty in a different context, maybe you can say multidimensional context. So, and that too for policy framing. Most importantly, IHDS is actually interesting to be noted, whereas some direction can be derived, some important features can be derived for policy framework. So, therefore, your results out of the IHDS is going to be very interesting and could be referred widely. So, let me have the privilege to unfold the details with the first slide. This is where we start with IHDS. IHDS actually is a joint collaboration of University of Maryland and NCAR is one of our institute located in Delhi, which is famously known as Social Science Institute, and the team member, the professor who is famous in developing these data sets is actually by Sonal Desai. So, Professor Sonal Desai is very articulatively structured the data. I am using articulatively because many of the informations are very indicative and it can be interpreted in various contexts. So, let me go into the deeper understanding of this data. So far as IHDS is concerned, first starting information for all of you is that this is also a nationally representative data set because of its multi structured coverage, because of its multi layering weightage, because of its multi issues coverage. And so, as I just discussed, National Council of Agriculture Applied Economic Research Institute NCR and University of Maryland is actually behind the think tank of India's Human Development Survey. It is funded by National Institutes of Health, NIH, world usually give top bigger funding with the grant numbers are given here for your reference. Additional funding is also provided by Ford Foundation. So, unlike single topic surveys, the IHDS collects data on different dimensions of human development like education, caste, gender relations and infrastructure. It is not just gender in isolation, it is a gender relationship. Basically, where we will be emphasizing quality of gender, gender rights, gender decisions, gender empowering gender, Okay, so many gamut of informations are actually available for your work. Now, the foundation of the IHDS lie in work with NCR which had done in 1993-94 as part of its Human Development Profile of India, famously known as HDPI. NCR initially started with its survey on this IHDS framework in 1993. So, IHDS 1 that has been carried forward to the next round, that is in another round that is called IHDS 1 of the rural sample used about a 1/3 of the HDPI. So, IHDS actually famously known from its first round and second round, not in the HDPI round. So, HDPI is initially by the NCR only and not with the collaboration of University of Maryland. So, IHDS actually carried the rural sample and that to 1/3 of the information of the rural sample in HDPI. So, that means those who are interested in having a repeated information or a longitudinal information related to rural profile, they can start from the work of 1993-94 till the latest round of 2011, that is IHDS 2, the second round of IHDS 2. So, in totality for understanding rural space or rural changes over time, you can consider 3 rounds of IHDS. Okay. So, HDPI is considered and IHDS 1 and IHDS 2. I will discuss in detail in our successive slides. So, IHDS is a public data files are available, IHDS public data files are available from the data sharing and demographic research DSDR, famously known as DSDR, of Inter University Consortium for Political and Social Research. It is famously also known as ICPSR. Okay, the website is linked here. You can explore further details and there are also many information for your knowledge. Now, as I already mentioned, so far no single survey in India which discussed about longitudinal data set at unit level. This is the only existing database in India which touched upon the longitudinal characters, repetitions of the same person, some of the percentage of the person. We will discuss that in the next round of a survey. So, therefore, since it is longitudinal, the all other surveys are usually called time series based, or it is not time series or cross sectional data, purely cross sectional, repeated in over time, not by the particular unit of the person. So, but this one is actually the same person is repeated, okay, in other round, but not exactly 100%, it is less than that, we will discuss in detail. And the coverage permit, the coverage of this IHDS actually permits analysis of association across a range of social economic conditions. 2 rounds of the survey have been conducted since that is IHDS 1 and 2. So, if you mix with the rural, then we can include HDPI as well, okay, as I already mentioned. So, IHDS is the first large scale national level panel survey of over 40,000 Indian rural as well as urban households undertaken by researchers from NCR and University of Maryland. So, 40,000 Indian household, now you can just simply multiply by roughly around 4 to 5 household members, down this boils down to 2 lakhs plus observations, okay, which is in fact one of the very good platform to be defined as nationally representative, so far as this number is concerned. What makes the IHDS unique among Indian surveys? If you have if you wish to understand a bit. So, first important point is the topic covered, the breadth of the topic covered. There are wide range of topics covered in this single survey. The breadth permits, this breadth permits analysis of association across a range of social and economic conditions. For example, it covers children's outcome like learning, immunization related information, nutrition related information, which requires joint consideration of the role of poverty as well as family structure, gender relations, community context and some other facilities available to the households. Similarly, the questionnaire are discussed which are similar across the two webs. We are using webs because of the fact that the time is different and the portions are same, so not by 100%. We will discuss the exact number in our next slide. So therefore, webs are actually discussed. Webs are discussed when we have a panel component or longitudinal component, which enable comparison over time. However, there are additions to the institutional modules to capture new programs and policies which provide a quasi experimental framework. Okay. I think it is needless to mention that the international topmost journals, the topmost research journals which are having better impact factor or quite referred in international context, consider experimental papers, design based paper than that of a cross sectional one. They give better weightage to it because it resulted a holistic direction, holistic interpretation which could be interpreted for policy. And recently I think if you go by the Nobel Prize in economics, it was actually given to the person Professor Abhijit Banerjee from using the module called RCT, randomized control trial. RCT is useful. The technique is in the form of trial because it is a control format and some experiments are designed. So, similarly, though it is not RCT as such, we are just mentioning in terms of some forms of experiment, okay, and therefore it is not 100% experimental, it is called quasi experimental. We will clarify in our some of the models what forms these are called quasi experimental, not exactly experimental, okay, to test their effectiveness in other context. Now, looking at the depth of the human development indicators, along with the traditional socio-economic indicators like poverty, school attainments, IHDS is supplemented with additional measures and that provide fuller understanding of the actual human development indicators. It measures not only school enrollment, but also children's actual achievement related to some cognitive issues in terms of some say it is related to reading, arithmetic skill, writing habits are also covered. The usual consumption based measures of living standards are supplemented with detailed questions which are on the levels and sources of income to better understand how the household came to its current position. Now, understanding the panel component a bit, the data set provides a rich area of discussion on changes to the Indian society over time. IHDS 1 is a national representative survey which covers 41,554 households which was conducted in 2004-5 and these are re-interviewed in in IHDS 2 in our second round, re-interviewed percentage were of 83 households, okay, 83% of the household are re-interviewed, and the second round also considered some split households in addition to the re-interviewed household. Okay. So, because of the fact that there are some family which are splitted to different members, not necessarily the same family carried over time. Okay. So, some new members are also added, either that is also called split, or a new none other than the family members are also considered in the second round of the survey. So, therefore, these are called split, not necessarily just continue with the 100% panel, it is called 83% panel. Alright. So, if you go by 83% panel and if you filter it to 83% in our new data set, then that will be called 100% panel, is not it. So, panel data allow better estimation of the influence of development and government policy. I have already discussed. It is a rich array of contextual measures because of the fact that it includes village information, school information, medical facilities, etc. Extensive census data are also available to be merged for the contextual analysis at the village, district and state level. Within the household survey, several actually sections focus on the household connection to the wider community, to make it more representative as well. Now, what is the sample frame of the IHDS survey? We have already discussed the sample frame in our previous lecture for NSS. Now, let us understand the sampling design part where sampling frame carries the most important portion. It was conducted in all the Indian states and union territories except two, that is Andaman Nicobar and Lakshadweep. So, this is a national representative survey, covers 41,554 households consisting of 26,734 rural and 14,822 urban households. The rural was actually taken using a stratified random sampling, which contains actually of over 13,900 rural households who are actually again re-interviewed, who are actually not re-interviewed, interviewed in 1993-94, actually considered in the next round, that is in the IHDS 2. Okay. No, we are actually now referring to, in this page we are referring to the rural households are drawn from stratified sampling. If you are trying to make a panel based on the HDPI of 93-94, so 13,900 rural households are actually interviewed, all right, from the HDPI survey. 27,654 new households are added in IHDS 1. Okay. And the urban sample was a stratified sample of towns and cities within states or group of states selected by the technique of sampling called PPP, probability proportional to population. Sometimes it is also called probability proportional to size sampling, size are referred to population. Out of the 593 districts in India in 2001, 384 are included for the IHDS survey. The sample is actually spread over 1,503 villages and 971 urban blocks. So, regarding urban blocks and all, we discuss something, some ideas in NSS, but not necessarily the same is carried forward in IHDS. You have to mark carefully for the IHDS. So, so far as the sampling frame of IHDS 2 is concerned, the previous page I discussed IHDS 1, now we are discussing IHDS 2. So, in IHDS 2, total number of households surveyed was of 42,152 households, and that consists of 27,579 rural and 14,573 urban. IHDS 2 re-interviewed, now re-interviewed aspects are discussed. In the previous slide I said for rural some re-interviews are there, but from the HDPI, but now we are saying how many are actually re-interviewed total, in total, not just rural and urban, that is of 83%. 83% of the original households, those are covered in IHDS 2 are actually re-interviewed in the IHDS 2. In addition to that, there are also split households. Okay. So, as well as split households residing within the village, and an additional sample of 2,134 households. Okay. So, these households are spread across 33 states and union territories, 384 districts as I just said were covered, 14 I think here we have 384 mentioned, 300 districts, 1420, but in the first round it was of 1503 villages, now it is a little less 1420 villages and 1442 urban blocks, it is higher than that of the previous. This one is higher as compared to the previous round, and so far as village it is lesser. Now, these are the final sample of the households. So, household in IHDS 1 41,554 I have already said, household 2 IHDS 2 it is of 42,152, and household surveyed in both the rounds IHDS 1 and 2 was of 40. This is very important, those who are interested to make panel. IHDS households lost to recontact for the IHDS 2 are of 6911, sometimes we refer to we mention as attrition rate. Okay. IHDS 2 households not included in IHDS that is of 2134. IHDS 2 household not included in IHDS was of 2134. Okay. So, so looking at the survey methodology of IHDS data, face to face interviews are conducted to collect information on different modules. An interview with a knowledgeable informant, that is typically head of the household covered, socio-economic condition of the household like income, employment, education, consumption expenditure, social capital, an interview with an ever married woman actually discussed in the IHDS 2, though it was clubbed in IHDS 1 with the household file. When we discuss for ever married women, we actually refer to the age group of 15 to 49, those are also called eligible women. In the file, the exact name is actually called eligible women who actually go or experience the reproductive age, that is of 15 to 49. Regarding health, education, fertility, family planning, marriage, gender relations in the households and community etc. are covered. Those ever married women who were interviewed in IHDS 1, but were no longer eligible older than 49 years were also interviewed, even if they are older, okay, are also interviewed in the next round. Okay. So, we can have we can make a comparison of their status, those who have already crossed their reproductive age, okay, or reproductive duration. So, an interview with the youth in the household were only covered in IHDS 2 regarding youth information were not covered in IHDS 1. This is very unique so far as India's data set is concerned. So, those who are of having age 15 to 18 years, these covers, this particular file covers education, employment, marriage, life skill, future planning, friendship, risky confidential behaviors. Similarly, short reading, writing skills, arithmetic, knowledge related test, capability or the skill knowledge related information of the children are also covered. Children with age 8 to 11 and youth age 15 to 18 you are discussed in this particular regard, like for reading, writing, arithmetic knowledge. Tests were developed in collaboration with researchers from Pratham. Pratham is one of the famous NGO who collaborated for this support. And height and weight measurement were made for children under 5, 8 to 11, their mothers and other available household members. Their details are also covered. Facilities assessment of one government and one private primary school as well as a primary healthcare facilities in the community are also covered. Village questionnaire assessing employment opportunities and infrastructural facility in the village is very useful so far as village facilities and their policy facilitations are concerned. Now, if you request the data for this particular one, specific data information may be provided by IHDS to the individual researcher. Okay. So, let us consider what files exactly it covered, different waves in and their structure by their files availability. The first round was completed in 2004-5 already discussed. It contains 8 different data sets like DS0, study level file, individual, household, medical, non-resident, primary school, birth history and crops related information also given in the first round, first wave. And the detail you can follow the web link given here. Similarly, for the IHDS 2 there are 14 data sets covered. 14 data sets we have already discussed. Some data sets are new in the sense that are actually differently mentioned, like eligible women discussed in the first round within the file household, but here it is eligible. Similarly, youth profile is also very new so far as web 2 is concerned, and this was conducted in 2011 and 12 and completed in 2011-12. There are 14 files available. So, you can follow this and try to understand the details. The link, respective link is given here. Now, let us work a bit on this data set and we will also discuss further details of this in a very different context while extracting the information and interpreting the IHDS data separately. We will also clarify this concept again. Whatever the concept we discuss, we will also deal with that in detail. To understand the unit level data provided by IHDS, following files are needed. The The questionnaire file, the set of items on which the information is required is important. We need to refer to the questionnaire file from the beginning. The questionnaire file in the IHDS 1 like it gives information like household questionnaire, education, health questionnaire, learning test in PDF format. Whereas in IHDS 2 the household questionnaire actually is interpreted in a different name called income and social capital questionnaire. So actually this is also called household questionnaire as mentioned in IHDS 1, and education, health questionnaire, learning test are also available in PDF file. Now this is our this is our schedule information, questionnaire information. Schedule we use it in NSS, but here largely we use questionnaire. Okay, the term is very categorically mentioned. Now the questionnaire looks like this, where household identification, some information related to state, union territories, their codes are given in the code book. Okay, district name, name of the tehsil, taluk, town, etc. We will follow it in detail. Similarly, caste systems, head of the household information, many others are there, you can follow it accordingly. The data file in different formats are available. Whoever wants to work with data, they can download the data by clicking here on STATA. If you are interested to work with R, you can download the extracted data in R format or SPSS format, SAS format. There are different formats. Even the ASCII data, which we discussed in the couple of lectures before, is also discussed. Now this is the format, data file in STATA format. If you download in STATA format, then this is the snapshot in STATA format after opening that particular file. Now the code book files are given like here. Code book describes the summary of variables, its maximum minimum value, on weighted frequency are also given, character type of variables, variable range, frequency of the missing values. How to deal with the variable is very important. It may be the case that there are so many missing values. So correlating with some other information and handling the missing value is very important. Now this is the code book we are referring to. It gives a complete PDF document regarding the code book. It gives the range information, maximum range of that codes, and the missing information is given here. It gives gives the value as there is no missing. Now the label, the name of that particular variable is state ID. State ID, its numbers are given, different codes are actually given, and the entries are actually mentioned, and also some frequency information are also given in the code book file itself. But we can easily derive from our STATA file, okay, but just by getting a tab on it, so we will get the exact result. So we need not worry at this moment. So far as the user guide is concerned, it describes how the data is organized, sampling of the survey, merging and linking of files, interpretation of missing values, methodology of the survey, unique IDs, constructed variables, etc. These are all given as part of the user guide. Now the constructed variables like case and geographic identification, all those details are given. I think IHDS households are uniquely identified. This will explore in detail how it is uniquely identified and which variables it requires. It is a combination at this moment, I need not explain in detail. State ID, district ID, PSU ID, household ID, household split ID. If you just combine all those together, we may define that particular ID, it is a combined ID, can be uniquely identified and can be actually tracked in different different file, okay, can be merged. It will be helpful for merging, okay, to a different file for our analysis. So whereas in the individual file, persons are uniquely identified by the combination of those variables. I know that you might be having some doubts on what do you mean by uniquely identified variable or a particular variable called uniquely identified. How is it so? So, we will actually explain it with the particular command in our respective lecture. You may take a hold on it. So, later it will be clarified for sure. So, IHDS is a panel data set, as I already said, 83% re-interviews are there, and there are plus re-interviewed households were there, plus any split household that resided in the same community. Community here we are referring to the village, okay. We already discussed. In order to link, linking files are required for making it a panel kind. I will actually discuss, I am not discussing in detail this will be discussed later, okay, how panel can be made. So, panel version of IHDS data recently populated by IHDS, very recently, it is in their website, you can have idea on it. So, linking files file gives round 1 identification codes for all round 2 household that were re-interviewed at both the levels, household as well as individual linking files. We will discuss, there are some doubts, I know that I am not clarifying, and at this moment, because it is too heavy to be loaded for you, we will carry forward to the particular class how to make it panel, how to make it uniquely identified in the respective class. Okay. But here there are 2, as I just said, individual and household panels can be separately made. Household panel, some attrition are there, some missing information are there. So, re-interview are of 34,621, whereas in case of individual 1,50,995 out of the total sample of 215,754. So 150,995 actually re-interview, there are also some attrition. Okay. So, we will discuss correctly in detail in the respective class. So, I think I should stop here, friends. We will discuss some of the further conceptual aspect to it in its respective class. With this, let me stop here. Thank you.